Say, I want to talk about the fact that never trust a person just because they are wearing a uniform that is supposed to be respected. Uh, Sometimes you get killed by the people that you think because they are wearing a uniform that is associated with a trusted organization called police, and therefore you trust them. Hey, I'm telling you, that will be the end. Um, you've got no idea. Just to say something. You have no idea of the real death threat I have faced. It, when you look at these things, right, you're looking at it from a distance and you're listening to us talking about it, you kind of feel like,
Okay, I hope I am in frame. So, guys, as you already seen that clip of Bongani Masuku, that is the reality that we are facing. I think I have shared before with you guys that I found myself in an incident. I think it was earlier this year, if it was not late last year. I requested an Uber, and when I requested an Uber, it arrived. But I was quite smart about it because I feel like my intuitions were telling me don't request from where you stay, request somewhere else so that if anything happens, at least they don't know where I live. So I decided to go to a petrol station not far from my place but far enough where I requested to go to Eastgate. I needed to go and check some few things that I needed for my YouTube channel, and so came the Uber. Now, I have people that I know in the family as well as in the neighborhood where I come from who are police officers, detectives, you name them. They have a particular way of behaving. Their body language, what comes out of their mouth, their attitude, and stuff like that. It's like an ANC person, and I'm talking about the real ANC people. You can tell that this guy is an ANC by how they utter words, by the way they talk, as well as their body language and behavior and attitude. So in my mind, I'm like, why am I being driven by a police officer? That was the first thing that came to my mind. And then my intuitions kicked in immediately. So now with me, every time when I enter an Uber or a Bolt, I don't sit at the back. The reason why I don't sit at the back is because I don't want the driver to feel uncomfortable. So I always go to the front. But every time when I go to the front, the first thing that I do, I open the back door just to make sure that there's no one else that is hiding behind a seat that will pop up at some point, or there is another passenger that the driver might tell me, oh, I also have this, I will not take such a transportation if somebody else is in the vehicle, especially sitting at the back and I'm sitting in front. So I always sit in front. And the first thing that I do when I sit in front, I observe. I look for the phone that shows that I indeed am the client of this particular driver. I look at everything. So now tell me why this particular driver, as we are driving to Eastgate, he says to me, hey, listen, can we detour because I need to fill up my tank? Now, the interesting thing is when I entered his vehicle, I did see his gauge. It was a full tank. Now I was like, I think he saw that I saw that he is lying. Then immediately he changed, like, no, no, I mean, like, I need to go change this car and give it to my wife, and then we take the one that my wife is driving, and then we continue our destination. And I said to him, no, sir, I don't think that is even legal. I don't know if the law allows this, but what I know is the vehicle that picked me up, there is number plate. And secondly, the car that you are going to swap, the number plate is different. And therefore, if anything should ever happen to me, I'm not saying you are a criminal or what, but if anything had to happen, maybe a car accident, and now my family don't know that I have passed on in a car accident, and the last person or the last vehicle I was in was of this number plate. You understand what I'm trying to say? But he drove there anyway. He detoured anyway. And then in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, we need to start being highly vigilant from this point on because clearly this guy did not hear me. So he was obviously adamant about whatever plan that he had. So we detour, and then indeed we get to a what do you call this? It's like a supermarket slash mall-ish area. And then indeed, there is a woman that comes out of a white vehicle. And the first thing that I see in that white vehicle is like, I mean, I know police officers' private car number plates. That is the police. And then I'm like, okay. And then when he opened the door, I told myself when he opens the door, I'm opening mine at the same time. When he opened, I opened, and off I left. I went straight into the shop. I looked for CCTV cameras wherever they were situated in the store, and I would pretend to be looking at the items while I'm just standing there in front of a camera so that when he enters, they capture his image as well. So that if anything had to happen to me, maybe I survived the tale or somebody or the investigations, they will see that this is the last person that contact or I was in contact with. So I called my sister. I'm like, hey, listen, I believe that I'm getting kidnapped by the police. She asked me, and she was at work. She's like, where are you? And I just basically sent her the location, and then she left her job immediately and came to fetch me. But I told her to be careful, to be vigilant. Now, the fortunate thing that I had done when I left the vehicle, when I literally ran away, I did see the number plate of the vehicle the lady came out of from. I memorized it, and in that vehicle that we were going to swap, there were two other people, a woman that was sitting at the back and a male that was sitting in front, and then the so-called wife. And I was like, this is not what it seems. So I went into the store. Then I waited for a bit, probably 35, 45 minutes. Then I called my sister to tell her that, listen, I think this is the deal here. And then she came and fetched me. Then about when it was building up to my birthday this very July, I think it was probably around the 12th or 13th of July, I go and do some fill-ups for my place. I mean, this particular night, I was craving a steak. And so I know that the spa not far away from me, sells the best steak. So I went to buy a block of it, excuse me. And just when I was done, tell me why this white guy pops from the parking lot, which was a bit dark, I must say. And then he asked me if I could please loan him 150 Rand. He needs to fill up petrol. He just came back from Tambo International Airport going to Centurion, and he accidentally put his wallet on top of the roof of his car at the airport when he was accompanying his wife. Again, my intuitions were like, this story doesn't make sense. And secondly, you know how a police officer behaves, right? His attitude, the way they just do things like police like. And I'm like, this guy's a police, definitely. But I play along and I'm like, okay, I don't have much money because the card that I was carrying, I think inside it had something like 800 Rand or something like that. And I said, I don't have much, but let's see if I can get you 150 Rand. So behind us, there was an ABSA ATM. So I turned around to put my card, but there was no money. So my bank, where I banked with that particular card, was about another walk in the shopping center. And so I'm like, okay, we need to go to my bank then. And then I had a trolley, and then he takes the trolley and he's like, okay, no, I'll push it for you. I'm like, no, it's fine. And then he says, no, I insist. And then he pushed the trolley, and then we go to the ATM. And then when I tried to withdraw 150 Rand, there was no 50 Rand. So I ended up withdrawing 200 Rand. And then I gave it to him. And when I gave it to him, tell me why this man was so adamant on getting my number. He says, give me your number so that I can repay you. I'm like, no, it's okay. It's from the kindness of my heart. You do your thing. Hopefully you find your wallet. When I say, I hope you find your wallet, I look down. Tell me why the right side of his thigh was a little bit swollen. Because that was a wallet to me. And that is when, once again, I'm like, oh, the guy, he behaves like a police officer and whatnot. And he insists on taking my number so that he can repay me. I said, no, it's fine. Please, rather pay it forward. I don't want the money back. And he's like, no. And I'm like, sir, at this point, you are really getting to my nerves. I just told you, please. Then I was like, no, I changed my mind. Please say hi to Mr. G for me. That man went blue, purple, and red in the face immediately. Tell me why he turned around and started walking fast towards his vehicle. And I'm like, oh, so I see what is happening here. He went straight to his vehicle, and I kind of like followed him behind it a little bit. And I already requested an Uber to get back home. But I thought because I wanted to see the number plate of this vehicle. And I did see the number plate of the vehicle. Now, what some of y'all, and I did say this before, that I'm kind of like sorted when it comes to security part of everything that I am doing here, because there are some contingency plans that I have, that if anything should happen to me, we know who is responsible for that. All right. So I took this information just like I took the information of the Uber driver, his facial expressions, I mean, his facial features, which are in an identikit. But I'm not going to say much about what exactly we found. But I can tell you, it is confirmed that those were police officers. Both of them coming from Pretoria. All right? Both of them coming from Pretoria. I'm not going to say which department and what their names are and what roles they play in the SAPS, etc., and so on, but they are close or closely work with Mr. G. All right? So that is as far as I can say. All that information is there. How do we know that white guy was a police officer? The number plate was a police vehicle. Number two, as I was following him, guess what? I find my 200 Rand on the floor. I don't even know what made me look down instead of focusing where this guy was going to. I looked down, there's my 200 Rand. How do I know it's my 200 Rand? Because when it was coming out of the machine, somehow it kind of got shriveled in the middle. That's how I knew that was my 200 Rand. I didn't pick it up with my, I know that my fingerprints were already on it, but this time around, I don't know which part of his fingers that he used to take it from me. So I kind of like picked it up with a what do you call this? I had a nail clipper in my pocket because earlier on I was busy filing my nails. I always file my nails, and so I pick it up with it, and then I'm like, this is going to my private investigator. So I'm giving things away. I'm going to give this for him to check the fingerprints on this money. Yes, indeed, there were probably 3 sets of fingerprints on the note and this white guy, police officer, a detective for that matter. I was like, oh, okay. So now it makes sense why he looked shocked and he went purple, blue, red, and yellow in the face and turned around and just walked. I have never seen a white person walk that fast in my life. And so all that information is gathered. I'm saying this to say that if anything should ever happen to me, the investigation will start there with them, because clearly it's not of my doing that I find myself in a situation that they may have planned or they are planning or whatever the case might be. Now, one has to ask this question, and I did ask this question before. If this case is really a legitimate case against the 5 people that deleted Senzo Mewa, why all this energy? Why 8 people have lost their lives because they were potential witnesses to the defense? Why? You have to ask yourself that question. And when I was, I don't know, there were questions coming from you guys a lot asking me if I'm safe. Because there was a time also where I was a little bit absent from doing this matter, and I heard people, YouTubers, talking to me and say, hey, people are concerned about you. They're wondering if you're getting threats or you lost interest or something happened. I mean, I did come this Monday, and I explained why my absence on the platform, because I'm going through a situation with a family member, all of that stuff. But no, I didn't lose interest, and definitely I know that I'm under threat, but so far I would not say that I am aware of any threat, but I know in the back of my mind that there are plans, obviously, to try and silence my side of what I do here on YouTube. And I also know that Bongani Masuku is also one of the people that are targeted by this group of thugs that are wearing police uniforms in our government. Now, the other question that I keep having is this government's agenda, or it is rotten apples within the government that has this agenda when it comes to this particular case? I also know that Sfiso Meiwa himself, he is, in Zulu we say, bamupile. They are waiting for him to make one slight mistake. And one of those mistakes that they are waiting for is in case he loses his temper on his wife and then he does something to her. I mean, look at what happened to Mr. Mgomezulu. Mr. Mgomezulu, when he started the case, what happened? The MPA came from nowhere and said they are charging him and they're going to be prosecuting him for a 2-year-old case of domestic against his wife, even though the wife was like, no, I withdrew this whole entire thing. But the MPA was adamant that it's going to do what? To still prosecute him anyway. Why? Because they want to remove him from this case. Why? Because he's showing a lot of strength in exposing the truth, just like what happened to Advocate Defu. Advocate Defu today is in jail without a trial, without ever offered bail, and all these fundamental constitutional rights on Advocate Defu have been violated by the state, by the way, the custodian of our constitution. And guess who's not saying and doing anything? Yeah, you got it, the government. Parliament is quiet. The House, where our constitution is supposed to be protected, defended, as well as implemented, MPs are quiet. Then you have to ask yourself, what is the real agenda here with this particular case? You have to ask yourself that question. And then not only have to look at Mr. Mgomezulu being almost being prosecuted for a matter that he has done 2 years ago against his wife, but he also reported in court, if you remember very well, that 2 suspicious people were, they were going about his house, and he feels that his life is in danger. So if this case is legitimate, if this case is real, why all of this? Why all of this? Now, where I was educated, critical thinking was the number one and first priority that was nailed into us. That do not take things at the surface. You need to stretch your mind as far as you can to try and see and read between the lines, read between the figures of speech. What exactly is the insight here? That is what I was taught. I was taught critical thinking, to use the little of IQs that I have. I always say 2 IQs that are rubbed together. I know my IQ is a little bit higher, well, quite high. And I will not put that to waste. But you can also tell that in South Africa, if this ever succeeds, let's say something happens to Bongani Masuku, or something happens to me, or something happens to any of the YouTubers that are doing this case and seeking the truth and also defending Lady Justice. Because these are the 2 things that I believe we are fighting for. We are fighting for the truth. Who pulled the trigger that took out Senzo Meiwa? And secondly, we want justice to be served. And in order for justice to be served, we need to defend Lady Justice. That's what we need to do, and that's what we are doing. But the people who are supposed to be the ones that are looking and also implementing justice are the ones that are perpetrating against justice by coming after us because they want to do what? To silence us. I mean, I also know from information that I'm getting that Mr. G at one point approached the Minister of Communications in the previous regime to regulate YouTubers, particularly those that speak about the Senzo Meiwa trial, right? And unfortunately for the minister, for Mr. G was told that unfortunately the Constitution doesn't allow that. Section 16 of the Constitution gives South Africans freedom of expression. That also includes imparting information, scientific research, as well as artistic rights. They're all enshrined in the Constitution. You can check it if you want to. And the same section does also limit itself in subsection 2. So they are not at all violating the constitution of the country. All they are doing is they are watching the proceedings that are taking place in court, and then they're asking questions, because we are asking questions. Just because we are not learned in this field does not mean that we don't have brains to also say, but wait a minute, this does not make sense. An entire case is based on the facts as evidence that is going to prove that the 5 men that stand accused of deleting Senzomea are the correct people that are being prosecuted. And the other thing that was also of adamant by the state is that accused number 2 had dreads, had a tattoo, and a gold tooth or gold teeth. And all of that has been proven otherwise. And the state also relied heavily on the confessions, which were admitted, as I believe, unconstitutionally, because Section 35 of the Constitution was violated, and yet the judge admitted those confessions and said that it's highly likely that the accused are lying, or highly likely that they did make that confession, and it was admitted into evidence. And then you look at the DNA of the hat. You look, all of these things, they are saying we must turn the other way. Act as if we did not hear that. Because a criminal case is based on the evidence that the state is going to present or is presenting to the court, so that the court adjudicates the evidence and come to a decision. Beyond a reasonable doubt, the state has to prove this case. And thus far, the state has not proven its case beyond a reasonable doubt. The crime scene was cleaned. The crime scene was visited by four. The first 2 responders who got there were supposed to cordon off the crime scene and left it to go see Senzomewa's body, leaving the crime scene to a civilian. Isn't that against the law? Because in some democracies, that alone would have been a mistrial, or the case thrown out of court, which something in South Africa as well does happen. The crime scene was cleaned. And the crime scene was no longer how it's supposed to have looked according to the photos. There were photos that were withheld to the court. Only 8 were presented, only to find out that actually it's 33 or 32, I can't remember. And then the cell phone that was stolen is there. And I think it was photo number 31. And then you ask yourself, but wait, I know I'm not a lawyer. I know I'm not a judge. I know I'm not a legal expert. But that does not sound, does that make sense to you? That, okay, this is what we're being told, but here's the evidence is showing something else. That is what has been happening with this case throughout. And now it has gone to a point where the state is literally, in my opinion, starting to look for things that don't exist and keep submitting them as new evidence. And then when we are talking about these things and questioning these things, no, we need to be silenced. If indeed we do get silenced, I just want to give them this message. You can kill some of us, but not all of us. You take out me, or you take out Bongani, or both of us and other YouTubers, more will come out. And when more come out, now you're going to have investigative YouTubers that actually went to school to study these things. And they will open YouTube channels and investigate what exactly is going on, and they will still expose you. And you can't tell me you keep deleting all these people. Because the more you delete, more will pop. The more you delete, more will pop. And eventually, the international community is going to discover that, wait a minute, in South Africa, YouTubers are being deleted for exposing the truth or questioning where the truth is. And then they will also create YouTube videos, and they might even send their own private investigators, and they expose this on their YouTube channels. And then the entire world then will look at South Africa and say, wow, the South African police service is rotten to the core, because it silences people that questions the truth. Where is the truth lies here? Who pulled the trigger that deleted Senzo Meyiwa? That's what we are asking for. And we are also asking about the proceedings of the court in the North Gauteng High Court. Is this how a judge is supposed to behave? Where we believe that the judge is siding with the state. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that the judge is very soft and very favoring towards the state, and yet he's supposed to serve on the bench without fear, favor, or prejudice. Those are the things that we are questioning, but no, we need to be deleted for that. And then what does that say about South Africa? What does this say about the constitutionality of our republic if we are going to have many in blue that are going to be sent out to silence those that seek the truth? Make it make sense. Make it make sense. If this entire case was legitimate, all of this will not be happening. As a matter of fact, they will be appreciating YouTubers for doing the right thing, defending justice. So there we go, guys. That is exactly what is going on. I've been quiet because I'm also checking things. I'm checking things. I am working with a private investigator, one of the brilliant, and they have found things. They have found things, and if anything happens to me, just know that the names are going to pop. Serious names are going to pop. So they must not think that they are gods. You would take me out. You also be taken out someday, maybe by Mother Nature or whatever the case might be. But you must also understand that what you do, it also rolls out to your children and their generations. You are putting a curse on them, because in Zulu we say, "Inyembezi zomuntu ayiweli phansi for nothing." Ngeke wele mahala inyembezi of my family if you take me out. It's going to be a curse upon you and your generations. That's just how things work. You might think you are the boss because you hold a powerful position in our government. But at the end of the day, you are still just like me. I cannot stand and act invincible. I'm not invincible, just like you are also not invincible. The truth will come out. That's one part I'm going to tell you. The truth will come out. These 5 people that stand accused of deleting Senzo Meyiwa are going to be exonerated. And when they are exonerated, the spotlight is going to be on you. Unfortunately, the image of the South African Police Service would have been damaged because of you. So now the question one asks, who do we go to complain? Where do we open a case? Because I don't trust the government, not even the minister. No ministers I trust when it comes to this matter, because I don't know what the agenda is with the Senzo Meyiwa deletion. I don't know what the agenda is. But powerful people are behind all of these things. Some of us already know them, because they are coming after us. I mean, if you come after me, I'm going to learn everything that I need to know about you. Bongani talked about interception of our cell phones. That's true. Several times when I am talking to my sister, or I'm talking to my brother, or I'm talking to the YouTubers that I have in my contacts, which basically is 5 of them, you can tell the echo, and you can hear voices that are not of me and the people that I am talking to. And then the other incidences that I've had recently is getting emails. You can tell that this email is seeking one thing and one thing only: my location. The moment I respond, they will know where I am. Yeah, that's what they're doing. Some have posed as brands that want to collaborate with me. And in my mind, I'm like, no legitimate brand in South Africa has ever approached any of us who does a Senzo Mewa trial to collaborate with us, to market or promote services and products. They've never done it and they'll never will. There are currently YouTube content creation awards also going on. And we are great, what do you call this, contributors in the creative space in South Africa. But we are not there. And we will never be there. Why? Because we are seeking the truth. So then you come and you write me an email and you are lying to me because you want to lure me and you're thinking that I'm money hungry. No, I'm not. I mean, I take the email and I send it to the PI who looks into it and it leads back to Pretoria. Now, what does the police got to do with a brand and wanting to collaborate with a YouTuber? So clearly, the whole point is to find where I am. The moment I click on open, when I open the email, especially once I respond, I mean, it gives them an IP address, which leads straight to where I am. So we are aware, guys. We are aware. And I am saying to the people of South Africa, if anything happens to any of us, look no further. Look no further. Because they've done it before and they will do it again. Now they are coming after democracy. Because what we do is our constitutional right, is enshrined in the Constitution. Fundamental constitutional rights that they are trying to violate. Section 11, right to life. Section 16, right to freedom of expression. And possibly others as well that they're busy violating. Freedom of movement. So don't take what Bongani Masuku said lightly. It's our lives right now. And if you want to come into this niche where you are also contributing in finding the truth, do not be afraid. One thing I know about us South Africans, we are not afraid of death. You can come with it to us. Now is offer. Now you are not immortal. But the problem is with you is that once you go, you would have left a trail of negativity that your family is going to live with for the rest of their lives. Their children's children's children. That's the legacy you're leaving behind. And you don't think about it. All because you want to pin a case on innocent people. We understand that the other ones are indeed criminals. We understand that. That is why you went after them. Because it will sound legitimate. It will sound that South Africans will buy it. Yeah, very Inkabi. Yeah, definitely they did it. No questions asked. Unfortunately, the evidence that you are presenting in court doesn't math. No adding up there. It's mismatch. They try to table something, it goes the other way. And you're like, wait a minute, but no, it's supposed to match the crime scene. But it's not. So we're not supposed to be critical thinkers in South Africa. And yet right now, South Africans are being told to be critical thinkers. And then you're like, no, that's wrong. Because when South Africans become critical thinkers, they tend to expose the truth. That is what they are trying to do. They are trying to dumb us down. That when we see or hear things that don't make sense to us, we don't question it. Because they would have instilled fear. fear in a constitutional democracy. It doesn't supposed to exist. We're supposed to live our lives without fear, favor, or prejudice. This is a democratic and open society. That's the principle of democracy. And you can never take it away from us. You can never take it away from us. Just because you are a crook. You're a crook in uniform. Not only a crook in uniform, you're also a deleter of people who tell the truth. The M word, yeah, that's who you are. So I thought, let me come and ease your minds. If in case you're wondering, yeah, that's the life we are living. But they want us to live like I'm a Gundwan. I'm not going to do that. I'll still live my life in full. If anything happens, happens. But it's going to lead to the people, because I've been very lucky that I'm very intuitive and that I also have a photogenic mind. I was able to capture number plates, which led straight to Pretoria. And I don't know if it's God or whatever, the 200 Rand, I find it on the floor. We tested for fingerprints. Once again, it led to Pretoria. Why? If this case is legit, then why they want us out? Why? Tomorrow the case begins. I mean, the trial resumes. Fallacy. Nothing but fallacy. Sfiso Meiwa started a YouTube channel on behalf of Senzo Meiwa called Senzo Meiwa Voice. And he, on the channel, is going to be speaking against what's going on in the North Gauteng High Court. This is the victim's family who's saying what is happening in the North Gauteng High Court. It is a fallacy. It's a charade. It's fabrication. Once again, justice is not going to be served because the wrong people are going to be convicted. The person that pulled the trigger, and they are very bold about it, who did it. And that person is going to walk free to continue sniffing white powder, allegedly. But no, delete all these YouTubers that are talking and bringing the truth very close to home. Because they want to save their freedom, because, yeah, there will be arrests. And there should be arrests of those that fabricated this. And also they're going to lose their careers and pensions. So they want to defend and protect all these things. So to do that, I don't understand how that is going to help you by deleting YouTubers. How is that going to help you? Because once the wheel of truth begins to roll, you can't stop it. You cannot stop it. You can delete as many people as you want. The truth will come out eventually. But what you would have done with the reputation of the SAPS, it's going to be irreparable. People are going to lose faith. People are already starting to lose faith in our judiciary because of the presiding judge. People are starting to lose faith in the criminal justice system because the prosecutor is alleged to be the relative of one of the people who are supposed to be an accused. So at the end of the day, what rule of law does South Africa have? What rule of law, Minister of Police? What rule of law, Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development? What rule of law, Security Cluster? What rule of law, Mr. President? Why you're all quiet? Anyways, I thought let me share my side of my experience with what's going on. I am, like I said, anything might happen. I'm not afraid, though. I'm not afraid. I'm a child of God. That part I'm going to tell you. I'm a child of God, and as a child of God as well, you do get deleted. But when you do, God will not rest until his justice is served. Just know that. Just because you deleted me, yes, you won. No, you didn't. You just actually opened a huge shithole for yourself. That's what you would have done. But that is all that I want to share with you guys. Please do not leave this video without liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Thank you for the super thanks, guys. Highly appreciate it. I know I only see them a little bit later, but I appreciate you guys. Abundance of blessings to all of you. See you next time. Goodbye.